Hi, everyone. Welcome and good evening. We just have another minute or so before we get started for tonight. If you have any questions or anything for us facilitators before we get started, feel free to talk with us now or write something in the chat, but we'll just wait another minute or two for more of the CSC members to join. I see Sandra's comment in the chat. Can you all send Google Calendar invites for this meeting, please? I'm not sure what a Google invite is and how that would be different than the invites that are currently sent out, but could you maybe explain a little bit more in the chat about what you need, what's missing from the current invites that we can do? And maybe you're not receiving the invites.
I can explain verbally if that makes sense. But basically, I think before I used to get like Google Calendar invites. So like you guys would send the invites and then it would pop up on my calendar, but it didn't this time. So I actually forgot about the meeting until I saw the reminder emails. Yeah.
Well, at the district level, we'll go ahead and look into that because from my knowledge, I don't think we've sent out something via Google as like a calendar invite. But it may be like a software or something that converts the invites from Outlook to Google or whatever your computer is doing. But we'll look into that. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Looks like some other folks might have received Google invites in the past, so the Air District will look into that so everyone still gets the notifications that they're used to. Minerva, go ahead. I see your hand is raised.
Hola, yo creo que fue por error. Ay, disculpen. Déjala abajo.
Oh, okay. So I think we can go ahead and get started for tonight. I just want to welcome everybody again to our 31st Arvin and Lamont meeting. We will get started with walking through the agenda, but first we would like to take a few minutes to set up the interpretation, just to make sure everyone is in the correct channel before we get into the meeting. So I think I will pass it to Linguística to walk us through these slides.
Yes, thank you. Buenas noches, el día de hoy tenemos el servicio de interpretación disponible para los que están conectándose desde una computadora. En la parte de abajo del menú de Zoom van a ver el icono de un globo. Le dan clic ahí donde dice interpretación, luego seleccionan español y silenciar el audio original para que puedan escuchar la interpretación del inglés al español. Y si se están conectando desde un dispositivo móvil o una tableta, por favor, tocar su pantalla, seleccionan los 3 puntos, luego interpretación de idiomas, seleccionamos español, nuevamente silenciar el audio original y para finalizar su opción puede seleccionar listo, finalizado o terminado. And for those who are monolingual English speakers, we have interpretation available for you tonight. If you're joining from a computer, at the bottom of the Zoom menu, you will see a world-like icon. You can select it and then select English. And if you're joining from a tablet or your phone, you can touch your screen, select the 3 dots, language interpretation, and select English, and then select finish or done. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you, Diana. Is the interpretation working for everyone, or are we having any difficulties? If you're having trouble, oh, I see Minerva can't hear the Spanish. We will. Amy, could you send Minerva a message and see if she's in the proper interpretation channel? Thank you. Are other folks able to get into the Spanish channel? I think so. Okay. I'm hearing yes, Spanish is working. So we can keep moving through our housekeeping slides. So on this slide, you are seeing the renaming convention, which is important for our attendance tracking and our stipend distribution process. So we ask that if you are a member of the CSC, please indicate that in your Zoom name, either by noting CSC, and then also if you are a resident, now you can put an R in your Zoom name. And here we have another reminder of the naming conventions. So if you are not a member of the CSC, please write your organization name in your Zoom name so that we have an idea of who is here and also who is a member of the public. So on this slide, we have our virtual meeting etiquette. So we ask for folks to please stay on mute unless you are speaking. If you are joining by the phone, you can press *6 to mute and unmute yourself. And if you have a question or any thoughts that you would like to share in these discussions, we ask that you raise your Zoom hand. And if you are on the phone, you can raise your Zoom hand by pressing *9. And then we have another reminder on this slide for residents who are in the stipend program. We ask that you stay on for at least 90 minutes of the 2-hour meeting to be eligible. So here on this slide, we have a review of your group agreements. So we walk through these at every CSC meeting, and these norms also do apply to your subcommittee meetings, even when Amy and I, as your facilitators, are not present to facilitate. But both Amy and I were able to watch the recording of last night's pesticide subcommittee meeting and are aware, excuse me, of some comments that were made that did cause harm to some of our committee members who were there. And we do want to acknowledge that folks may be coming into tonight's meeting still feeling the impact of those comments. And so as your facilitators, one of our main goals is to ensure that we can engage in a productive discussion and have respectful dialogue with the intention of supporting a fair and a just implementation of AB 617 with the Arvin and Lamont community. And so at every meeting, we do read these norms to continuously remind us of these agreements, and we do our best to reinforce them so that they can become second nature to all of us. So the first agreement that we read at every meeting is everyone here has agreed to help achieve the meeting goals by focusing on solutions, opportunities, and productive dialogue. And we're all here in this meeting together because of the AB 617 legislation. And the AB 617 legislation was developed in response to the disproportionate and the very real negative impacts that the air quality has had in certain communities across the state. and also in recognition of the need to invite the affected communities to the table and really listen to your voices and create these solutions together. And so reflecting on last night and many of the past meetings, we hear you in your push and requests for real systemic change, where the systems in place to protect us are more preventative rather than reactive. And AB 617 has been in its implementation phase for 5 years, as many of us know. And you're all right, and that the program should be shifting from the status quo responsiveness and mitigating issues that exist to then developing preventative solutions that don't let these harms happen in the first place. And so we say that because we hear you, and we want to acknowledge that this work is not easy, as we've said before, but we are still all here to stop the polluters and also leave things better off for future generations. And promise I won't be talking so much more, but in these meetings, we also want to acknowledge that sometimes people do not meet our expectations, and we recognize the frustration because you're all here for answers, and especially when, as you've mentioned many times, that people's lives are on the line. And so all of this that we wanted to mention at the start is relevant to the group agreements because they're reminders for us to find the best ways to collaborate across our differences and to try to see where each other is coming from. And so with all of that in mind, I will continue to read the rest of our group agreements for us as we do. So again, everyone here has agreed to help achieve the meeting goals by focusing on solutions, opportunities, and productive dialogue. We want to make sure that we're mindful of creating space for everyone to participate. So that might mean stepping up and also stepping back. We also ask for everyone to be kind and respectful, knowing that it's okay to disagree as long as you do so with respect and empathy. In these meetings, we have also agreed to stay on point and on time. And so we ask folks to try to keep your comments brief so that everyone in the meeting can have a chance to participate. And also we recognize the urgency and importance of these conversations, and oftentimes the meetings can tend to run a little long. And so in those cases, we will bring it back to you all, the CSC members, to ask how you would like to use the rest of the meeting time. And next, we also agreed to attack the problem and not the person. And then lastly, we all agreed to seek common ground. Building consensus and finding shared values will help us all achieve the best results. And again, I'm sorry for talking so much, but we felt that was important framing for tonight. And we also want to see if anyone has any thoughts that they would like to share on the group agreements that would be helpful for moving the conversation forward tonight. We do welcome those at this time. And if not, we can continue moving through the agenda for this meeting. But yeah, just want to make some space. Okay. And we can come back to, oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that and sharing and watching the pesticide subcommittee from last night. I know when decisions can be made, within the folks that are part of 617 and can participate, like the Air District and CARB, we have a much easier time implementing things. Unfortunately, when they fall on people like the Ag Commissioner who, refuses to play ball, and at times says things that are very disrespectful and defensive, the way they said yesterday, refusing to do more and saying that we would need more people to be exposed for him to want to do anything more than the minimum. So thank you for addressing that. And I think a few people walked away very displeased with how he carried himself in that meeting and also in previous meetings. So we're, maybe looking to address that situation outside of this arena, and maybe directly with the county supervisors, so that they can hear how displeased we are with them. A lot of the residents here have to work with the supervisors closely, and they've had, very effective, very efficient chats with the supervisors here, and our interactions with him don't reflect the type of interaction that some residents have had with the district or with the supervisors and the districts here, and being able to get things done. So thank you for that, and thank you for restating these.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And Mario, I see your hand is up too.
Yeah, I was displeased too, because, we're trying to fix up whatever we have to do, to have a better community. There's a lot of safety issues with pesticides. What DPR is supposed to understand is we have loved ones that got cancer working in the field. We got loved ones who passed away. We have friends and a lot of members that we know from our community. And I feel that we have to start trying to figure out what could we do to have a better meeting, and try to figure out how could we to make it, work. We need to make it work, because I'll be honest with you, I was just pleased because, when they start attacking like that, it's not professional. That's just showing me, I'm talking for myself, it's showing me that they don't care what we say, and that's a no-no, because they have to realize us, the people, we are very important on this meeting, and we try to have solutions to have something positive come out of this 617. And the only thing I can tell you is that if they don't want to help us out to better, the pesticides, and start, trying to figure out new rules and regulations, and try to figure out how to fix up the problem, what we are asking. I feel that the 617, we should have a meeting, all of us, like that. We could figure out what could we do to make it a better for the pesticides, what we were talking about, and have change. That's all I want to say.
Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of folks in this meeting, that probably resonated with them too. Maria and Roberto, I see your hands are up. Please go ahead.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos. Soy María Estela. Pues igualmente yo creo que todos nos sentimos muy mal, porque esta persona no es la primera vez que contesta así groseramente, y la verdad nos sentimos mal, porque queremos hablar con él, queremos que nos entienda a todos los que vivimos en el área, pero creo que él ya está en una postura que no quiere entender a nosotros que estamos en este grupo y nos damos cuenta de tantas cosas. Sabemos, pero hay personas que no saben qué hacer. Les voy a compartir algo que una persona puso en el Face y subió videos aquí en la ciudad de Arvin, y ella puso esto: necesito ayuda, ¿qué puedo hacer? ¿Y con quién puedo contactar sobre esto? No dejan que nadie sepa que están rociando durante el día. por la noche, que tengo niños y también rocían cuando la escuela está en acción. Esto es una mala palabra puso, y subió unos videos. Entonces son personas que en verdad no saben ni qué hacer porque ven que hay files que están rociando, y como esta persona que subió esto en el Face, y me lo compartieron y yo lo vi, es frustrante ver cómo hay personas que no saben ni a quién dirigirse. Y nosotros que sabemos a quién nos tenemos que dirigir, no nos escuchan y contestan de esa mala manera y contestan casi burlándose de la comunidad. Entonces sí es algo que nos molesta y que yo creo que vamos a reunirnos para ir con los supervisores y a ver qué podemos hacer, porque esta persona nos tiene que entender y tiene que trabajar con nosotros, tiene que trabajar con la comunidad, tiene que entender que no es algo personal contra él, que lo que estamos pidiendo es que vea la necesidad de la comunidad, que vea que estamos pidiendo que nos ayude a hacer cambios con tanta contaminación que tenemos aquí. Eso es lo único que pedimos, y pues si no hay otra manera de entendernos con él, pues tenemos que buscarla. Y yo creo que ya nos vamos a estar moviendo para reunirnos con los supervisores y ver si ustedes aquí no se puede hacer nada, pues vamos a tener que buscar otras maneras porque, o sea, es de mucho coraje y de mucho enojo ver, y sobre todo yo que vi esta persona que puso esto en el Face, que se siente desesperada porque tiene niños y porque está viendo que están rociando pesticidas y que no sabe a quién acudir. Gracias.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that and how you're feeling. And we hear you, and we recognize that the intentions of the comments that were made don't align with the impact that has had on you all in the community, and the impact is very real. So thank you for sharing with us. And I see we have a couple more hands, and so can definitely make time to hear what both of you would like to share before we move on. So we can start with Francisco.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mire, ayer yo escuché a esa persona y esa persona no tiene ninguna educación. Nosotros tenemos que reunirnos y hacer algo para ver si lo pueden quitar o qué se puede hacer con esa persona ahí, porque ya es demasiado. La otra vez también nos insultó igualmente y ahora otra vez. Él no quiere trabajar con nadie, él lo único que quiere está en sus ideas de él y él no quiere oír a nadie que le diga nada. Nosotros, como estamos en este programa, si podemos hacer algo, hay que hacerlo. Hay que ir a donde se tenga que ir para arreglar ese problema con esta persona. Es todo lo que yo quería decir. Si hay algo que hacer, yo estoy listo para ir donde sea para arreglar este problema.
Gracias.
Y gracias por escucharnos.
Thank you for sharing that. Diana, go ahead.
Sí, buenas tardes. Ya en una reunión anterior, parece ser que fue en una de las planeaciones de la agenda, habíamos hecho el comentario, cómo nos sentíamos los residentes con esta persona. Porque a veces los residentes nos quedamos callados porque tenemos miedo a las contestaciones que nos va a dar. Y las contestaciones tangentes que da de un no. Sin explicación, sin un no tiene siempre una explicación, un por qué, no nada más no. Ahora, esta persona, nosotros como residentes, algunos de aquí, de los residentes, junto con Bianca y con Gustavo y César, no es la primera vez que trabajamos en lo de los pesticidas. Tenemos años en esto. No nomás es aquí en la 617, es desde antes que él ya se ha tratado así y ya no se ha tratado a los residentes así. Esto no es de ahorita, es desde años atrás que él nos ha tratado así. Como les digo, no es la primera vez que estamos tratando con él. Al menos varios de los residentes, y yo me incluyo entre ellos, que se está tratando con él. So, creo que sí hay que hacer algo y sí nos tiene muy molestos y sí es el miedo a hablar con él a veces por cómo nos va a contestar. O hay veces es como que nos va a sacar el coraje y al último los que vamos a venir siendo los malos somos nosotros, en la manera como nos contesta y cómo nos vamos a defender. Yo creo que sí tenemos que hacer algo y hay que hacer algo pronto con él. Gracias.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I know we're running a bit over time, and I definitely want to make space for the two hands that we have up. So Bianca, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to address it to the district and to the hardware company that we are here all in support of having some changes, and especially on this individual. And we're asking now at this point to you guys, both of you, and also CARB, all the state agencies that are here to join us and support us in this whole movement of how so disrespectful we have this individual. I know that in continuous conversation, not only here in Arvin and Lamont, but in also Shafter, the way he's addressed community members has been so to the point that he's just a waste of time here. And I'm actually calling both of you and seeing or any of the state agencies and local enforcers who's here to support us, because we need support at this point. We need support in making any changes to the board of supervisors. And I'm calling it at this point, and I'll follow up whoever I have to follow up, because this is so disrespectful. And you guys seen it. You seen it firsthand. You felt it. I saw faces, the way people cringe on the way he addressed us. Imagine us continuously over year after year. We need to address it now, and we need changes. So we're asking for support. That's my calling. I'm asking for support from the district in making any changes here, because this is going on for too long, and he's making it so impossible. He's one of the things that are holding a lot of our work back. And I see Ryan might have a comment, but yes, I'll give it to Ryan.
Yeah, I think so. We can go to Ryan because I think he has a direct response, and then Elvia will come back to you after.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I think through this process, and really appreciate, how eloquently stated everybody has talked about this subject, and I think the respect that all of you have shown when having this conversation is exactly what the points that were being made tonight. And words matter. Every word that we say matters, and we all need to be mindful and respectful of that, and the power that those words have. And Diana, it means a lot, hearing from you that it's when you are afraid to speak because of how it may be received, that's harmful to what this whole process is about. And so, yeah, we need to create a safe space. And so I think that what we've heard is that there needs to be further conversations about with people about ensuring that there is that level of respect that is expected from all of us in participating in this process. So yeah, I mean, we will be communicating that definitely.
Thank you for that response, Ryan. And Elvia and family, I see your hand is up, so please go ahead.
Sí, yo quería decir también, sí, no sé si ustedes vieron en el video que el señor también se estaba riendo, y eso es grosero para lo que estaban hablando. Es algo serio, no era algo que él tenía que reírse, y eso también a mí me molestó. Y también quería decirles que helicópteros también están regando pesticidas aquí por la Comanche. Yo iba al doctor a las 11 de la mañana la otra semana y yo vi el helicóptero como estaba soltando todo. Y también quería comunicarles de mi hermana, no puede entrar, Joana González no puede entrar a la junta, no sé por qué.
Ya pude, tenía problemas.
Ok.
Sí, ya pude, nada más les quería avisar que entré tarde porque tenía problemas con la internet y la computadora, disculpen.
Ok, pues es todo lo que yo quería decir.
Thank you for sharing. Words, as Ryan said, definitely matter, and especially for those in government positions. And we hear all of your comments, and this conversation is definitely going to continue in this space. And just for the sake of time, we'll move to the action item tracker review. So I will stop sharing my screen and I will pass it to Eric. And just want to note that you may notice the action items are being tracked in a slightly different format for tonight. So as you listen to the updates, of course, please feel free to ask any questions or ask for clarification, but also consider if there's an alternative way that you would prefer for us to share updates regarding the status of action items. And so with that, I will pass it to Eric.
Hi, good afternoon, folks. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. And I will briefly go over these action items. And as Liz mentioned, we did add a table of contents just so folks could browse through the action item tracker a little bit more efficiently. And then you could return back to the top via online. I'll go ahead and start. So our first action item was to provide an update on a gas leak that was called for on Panama Way. The district did conduct a visual inspection and found no emissions observed and no odor detected. So all data from Kern and the fence line monitors on May 31st and June 1st were below the reference exposure limits. So Kern Energy confirmed that liquids were present in the refinery, which caused the black smoke. The district is awaiting results from the facilities engineer on the liquid removal system. All right. Go down to our next item. So the Air District will include visual representation, timelines for violations, follow-up and inspections for the enforcement about Sunray. So we do understand that this is a pretty big item, so we do want to open up solicitation for that at our next agenda setting meeting. We do plan to provide a presentation for that item as well. Yeah. All right. I'll go ahead and go to our completed section. As you can see, I could click here and it'll take me straight down to the completed section. So you all asked for CalGEM and CARP to be present for the updates on oil and gas efforts in the Arvin and Lamont next CSC meeting. So that is this meeting, and we're happy to have CalGEM here and all of our other agencies. So our next item was for you all to receive updates of the Blueprint 2.0 of the meetings that happened on the 7th and the 11th. And there was a primarily Spanish speaking presentation on the 18th. Right. So our next action item was to provide a comprehensive update on oil well repairs, status on the 11 Sunray wells, including API by July 7th. And to also include updates on the wells on Nelson. So CalGEM did provide written updates for the 11 wells that included the API. So if you'd like to review this is posted on our oil and gas subcommittee page via this link, and I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat after the action item section. All righty. Finally, as many of you all have been receiving text messages to join this meeting, we do intend to continue that on top of sending our emails. So all of the emails that you all use to join this meeting will still go out, but we just want to find out what's the best method of notifying you all that CSC meetings, pesticide subcommittee meetings, oil and gas subcommittee meetings are happening. And just as a reminder to folks, we did send out a technology survey, and I will post that link in the chat as well, just so we could see what's folks' preferred ways to communicate these meetings. And I'll go ahead and pull up my screen to show what the text will look like. And this is an exact text message of what went out today. And you all can click on this link and it'll take you to here, and then you can join via YouTube. And do I have any questions or any?
I do see a question from Cesar, and then after that, there's also one in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. Just a real quick addition to the first follow-up. I spoke with an inspector that did another inspection on the 7th, and they found, again, they had the same issue with the fuel gas system leak, and they did find some pinhole leaks. The leaks were repaired, but I wonder if the findings or the level of PPM can be shared with CalGEM or any other agency that regulates refineries. Because from what I understood and what was told to me in the final report was that it was exempt, or that the district doesn't regulate that, someone else might. So if they can share those findings with whoever does regulate it, that'd be awesome. Just because the refinery has been a continued issue in the Fuller Acres and Hilltop neighborhood, especially with smells.
I don't know if we have some agency folks that could tackle that question really quickly.
Can you repeat that one more time, Cesar?
Yeah. So it was a complaint that was made on the 7th, July 7th. I'm not sure when it was finalized. And I think the inspector was Carolina. It was someone whose name starts with a C. But they inspected it and they did confirm pinhole leaks, but they were repaired. And there was another incident literally the day before on a farm where I think the gravity of the oil made the well fall under an exemption, but that inspector did send the information to CalGEM and they were able to do something about it. So if this is a possibility for the refinery to share that information as well, I think that'd be good to do to share those findings.
Okay, but the instances you were talking about, I think were those the wells at the farm?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
That was, yeah.
All right, so I was trying to make the connection between the well and then the refinery. And so I think I kind of understand. You're saying when you're when those things come up, you're speaking with someone, I think in relation to the refinery, you're not getting the same level of information, or?
No, just on the leak in the farm, okay. I think the well fell under an exemption, but the inspector still shared their findings with CalGEM.
Okay.
And at the refinery, I don't think they've ever been shared. And that's always been an issue that it just stops dead there. And this instance, they did detect the leak. So if those levels could be sent to someone who does regulate refineries, because that may not fall under your purview, I think that'd be good to address the leak in the fuel system that's been happening for a few months now.
Okay. Yeah, the refinery would fall under our regulations, and it wouldn't be exempt from anything if there was any leaks from it.
And I think I can speak to both of those events.
Take it away.
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is Jennifer Lettergerber. I'm the compliance manager. I'm here in the Bakersfield office. In response to the well leak at Sequoia Exploration, that well is subject to the California oil and gas regulation, not to district rule. However, we did find a leak from that well and issued the notice of violation for the leak under the California oil and gas regulation LDAR section. We've also since confirmed compliance that leak was repaired and re-inspected.
And that's because we've been delegated, like we enforce the state's regulation.
That's correct. And then as far as the complaint for Kern Energy on July 7th, we did confirm a crude or petroleum odor around the facility. We gained access to the facility. We detected emissions emanating from one of the tanks at the facility, and we saw those emissions using a FLIR camera. The leak was located from an inaccessible point, so we couldn't quantify those emissions. However, we did make contact with the facility, told them that we confirmed both an odor right next to the tank and at the fence line, that we confirmed that odor. We've currently asked the facility for additional records. We are reviewing SEMS data from sulfur, and also we're continuing to review the fence line monitoring data for both Kern's fence line monitor and district monitors, community monitors.
Sweet, thank you. And last I heard, nothing's been coming up, so that's good to hear. I won't take up any more time. Sorry about that.
No, anytime.
Yeah, thank you for the question and the answer. And I did see that there was another question in the chat. Was only a visual inspection done? And that might have been related to this same action item, but I'm not sure if that question was answered.
If it's in regards to the June 1st complaint, where there was black smoke from the Bourne heater, if that's the timeline that came in on the chat, we did conduct a visible emissions evaluation once we got to the facility, and we always make contact with the facility as a part of that investigation. And then we request the records, look at the fence line monitoring data. And so it wasn't just like we drove by or stood at the fence line. We did do the visible emissions evaluation, made contact with the facility and requested those records. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Do let us know if that did not answer the question. And we have one last question in the chat about the text notifications for EV 617. Do we have to ask to get the text reminders?
So if you're definitely not receiving text messages, like feel free to reach out to us. I did run into phones numbers changing, phone numbers being disconnected. So if you are not receiving those messages, please feel free to reach out. And feel free to reach out to that or to fill out that text survey as well. It's both in English and Spanish. The link's in the chat as well. And we'll go ahead and add you all to the text notifications.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments regarding the action item updates? Okay, then I think we can move to the next agenda item, and Amy will kick us off.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amy Ramos. I really appreciate everyone sharing today and being willing to be vulnerable and share your experiences. I'm really excited to kick us off on this next agenda item. As you know, increasing awareness of AB 617 to all Arvin Lamont residents is vital to the success of our community engagement and effective implementation of this work. So let us begin this agenda item by celebrating your success in increasing resident engagement by expanding the CSC resident roster. We love seeing new folks, we see new names, new faces, and we expect to continue to see more community engagement. So for this agenda item, I'm going to pass it to Anna, who's going to spend some time
sharing with us so that we can learn about the effortful community engagement and outreach that's been happening in the Arvin Lamont community. Ana?
Gracias, Amy. Buenas tardes. Yo me llamo Anna Stone y voy a hacer la presentación a la actualización sobre el alcance comunitario en la comunidad de Arvin ahora. Como ustedes saben, hemos estado haciendo esfuerzos de alcance. Van a empezar a ver carteles y anuncios locales en las comunidades de Arvin y Lamont. También tenemos folletos y videos informativos multilingües. Hemos participado en eventos comunitarios como en el evento de Arvin, de la Feria de Energía Limpia. Ahí estuvimos compartiendo información. También hacemos mensajes compartidos a través de la ciudad o el condado. Mensajes en las redes sociales siempre. Si no nos están siguiendo, nos pueden seguir en Valley Air, ya sea en el Facebook, Instagram. Ahí nos pueden ver y pueden ver los mensajes que estamos dando, cualquier alerta que damos ahí. Y también van a empezar a ver, y ahorita vamos a hablar de eso y les voy a enseñar cómo se ve el correo directo que vamos a mandar a estas comunidades también. Y la última cosa y piensa que como la comunidad ha pedido, también investigar eso de los letreros digitales, ¿verdad? Vamos a empezar. Como aquí ven, hay unas fotos de nosotros en eventos. También estamos en escuelas compartiendo información en como distribución de comida. También ahí estamos compartiendo en eventos comunitarios, todo eso. Y aquí está, nosotros participando en la Feria de Energía Limpia. Ahí estuvimos compartiendo información. Y queríamos dar, este es el nuevo correo directo que vamos a mandar. Queremos que presten atención en las siguientes semanas. Van a recibir este correo, este correo directo donde va a estar una carta de nosotros y también van a tener 2 folletos adentro alentando a las personas que descarguen nuestra aplicación de Valley Air para poder estar al tanto de la calidad del aire, también protegerse y no quemar basura porque también es ilegal. Y luego también estamos promocionando nuestros 2 incentivos que tenemos para los residentes para que puedan intercambiar su cortacésped y recibir el 100% de reembolso por uno eléctrico. Y obviamente menos contaminante, y también para los jardineros, los que tienen su negocio, pueden recibir reembolsos por intercambiar sus equipos de gasolina por eléctricos. Mario, ¿tiene una pregunta?
Yeah, I got a question. On this electrical law motors, like some people, they don't have law motors to give. There's a difference on that. Do you have to give a law motor, like how you can change it, or how that goes? Because I'm one of those persons. That's why I'm asking.
Sí, muy buena pregunta. Tenemos 2 opciones para ese programa. Hay la opción una es si tiene uno de gasolina, lo puede entregar y comprar uno de eléctrico y se le da el 100%, pero también tenemos una opción, la opción 2, donde no tiene que tener nada de intercambio, nomás usted quiere comprar equipo residencial eléctrico de batería y se le va a dar, todo depende del precio. Si el equipo cuesta más de $100, se le devuelve a $50, y si cuesta menos de 100, se le devuelve 25. Hay reembolsos, son más pequeños, pero es nomás para la compra directa sin tener que intercambiar su equipo viejo de gasolina.
Okay, entrego otra pregunta también. I want to know what's going on with what I was asking for, that electronic billboard. There's any improvement that we're gonna get it, or what's going on? Because I want.
Ya, empezamos a hacer la investigación de estos letreros digitales. Sabemos que el letrero solamente empiezan de 50,000 a $100,000. Todo depende en qué clase de letrero, pero eso nomás el letrero. Eso excluye el uso del suelo, a la electricidad, los contratos que se tienen que hacer, el servicio y mantenimiento, todo eso. Estamos hablando, investigando con las agencias de Lamont y Outfront, más información, exactamente todo el costo entero de estos letreros. También estamos investigando, mientras se investiga todo eso, también estamos investigando otras maneras de hacer, cómo alcanzar a la comunidad, ya sea como en los letreros de las gasolinerías. Ya ves que en veces hay como pantallas. Estamos investigando cuánto cuesta eso también, o también en los carros del mandado, pues ahí se miran, no son pantallas, pero son cartelitos, anuncios, donde se puede también dar información sobre la calidad del aire.
Yeah, the thing is that I want to know what is the percentage that you get this billboard, because it's very important for me. I'm talking for myself because I want the public to get information and know what's really going on with San Joaquin Air Valley, and try to get all the information they could,
El porcentaje, se la voy a pasar a Heather, a ver si ella tiene una respuesta para eso.
I just want to make sure that Arvin and Lamont gets a digital billboard to get information for the public.
Hi, Mario.
Hey, how you doing?
Nice to see you. I haven't been here in a little while. Nice to see everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
So, a couple of things to share with you regarding that. It's very challenging, but not impossible. Our main goal, first and foremost, is to find the land that can host this sign. It's probably going to end up being that we partner with another agency that owns land in the area, and that's okay. But that's just one step in a multi-step process to then actually engage and purchase the sign and do the things ongoing. In the short term, we are also approaching the schools, and we have we piloted a program at probably 20 schools across the valley, where we partner with the school, give them an electronic sign that's basically just a computer screen, if you will. You can log on to the internet, and we project the air quality, the current air quality at that school's location on this really bright sign through the window to parents, to the public. And then outside on the wall by that sign, it explains, and that sign basically reads level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, the air quality levels that we report on. And then there's a sign next to it that explains what those are. So in the short term, just to get something electronic up, to get that conversation going, because I know it's a priority for you, Mario.
Yes, the thing is because I want not just the air quality to give out information. I want, when the school's giving out a meeting, maybe the school board meeting.
Right, right. I know what you're talking about. You see it as a multi-use sign, right? With lots of information.
A lot of information.
Right.
And not only that, I want the water district, to give out information to when they're having meetings and stuff like that. Or any program that's coming out for Lamont and Arvin like that, they could get educated on what's going on
Right.
in our community. And that's why it's very important that I want this billboard for Lamont and Arvin like that, because get educated what's going on with the air quality,
Right.
and everything else, you know.
Totally agree with you, Mario. Love the concept, and we will do what we can to make it happen. I can tell you that there's one not far from our office here that was probably a $500,000 project, but it is a revenue source. You know, it goes from one step sharing community information, but in another step, it's a digital ad. And so that's a whole network of folks. I can assure you that we are entrenched in our research, and we will keep bringing back more information, but I just want to reassure you that we have some short-term options.
Yeah, and if this billboard too would work like in pictures, showing people, because not many people know how to read and write.
Right, I know it.
Yeah. I think thank you, Mario. I know this is an issue that you've brought up many times. And as you know, we want to be responsive to the consensus of the CSC. So making sure that it is not, you're representing your community for sure. And then also making sure we hear from others in the meeting to ensure that everyone is on board with having this potential digital billboard. So we are a little bit behind, Mario, and I know you want to hear, and everybody wants to hear the CalDem presentation and the SERP update.
I just want to make sure.
Happening. It's happening.
I just want to make sure it, you know, I want to see action. I want to
it's in the works, but it takes time. As you know, construction and like, you know, supply chain issues, all kinds of things. It takes time.
I lose patience real easy.
Hey,
even my wife told me.
We are, there's a lot of behind the scenes progress that's been happening to try to come with a better answer, but you know, it's taking time and it's in the works.
Okay.
Francisco. Thanks, Mario. Francisco.
Sí, buenas tardes. Yo tenía una pregunta sobre las máquinas de...
Oh, Francisco, I can't hear you. We lost you after you said you had a question about machines.
Sí, para las máquinas de cortar el césped, yo quería saber, porque yo he estado buscando unas y sí están caritas, una máquina más o menos cuesta arriba de los 400. Y no sé cuánto es lo que ustedes le reembolsen a uno.
Para los residentes de Arvin Lamont se le reembolsa el 100% de lo que cueste. Pero sí voy a hablar más adelante de un evento que planeamos tener en el otoño para que usted pueda llevar su cortacésped de gasolina a ese evento y ahí mismo recoger un cortacésped eléctrico en ese mismo tiempo sin tener que usted dar el dinero y esperar el reembolso. ¿Sí me entiende? Pero ahorita, más a rato voy a hablar de eso. Pero sí, la respuesta es va a recibir el 100% del reembolso de lo que le cueste el cortacésped. El límite es $500. Si cuesta más de eso, va a recibir el 100%.
Ok, muchísimas gracias. Esa era toda mi pregunta.
Muchas gracias, Francisco. Okay, so, so nomás poner atención a su correo porque van a recibir ese sobre azul donde van a estar estos folletos con más información y siempre obviamente nos pueden hablar si tienen cualquier pregunta de cómo manejan estos incentivos y cómo puede aplicar usted, ¿ok? Y luego más adelante, hablando de las escuelas, como dijo Heather, también estamos trabajando directamente con los administradores escolares. Hemos tenido buen contacto con las escuelas de Arvin, pero Lamont se nos está haciendo un poquito difícil, so queríamos también preguntarles a ustedes si ustedes tienen un contacto directo con la escuela, alguien que está trabajando ahí que podemos nosotros contactar más directamente para poder distribuir toda nuestra información, como por ejemplo en Arvin Union School District en el distrito escolar de Arvin. Ellos recientemente compartieron nuestro folleto para nuestro incentivo de Clean Air Rooms, de habitaciones de aire limpio, donde se están proveyendo purificadores de aire gratis a los residentes del valle que viven en ciertas áreas. Así, cosas así, tener un contacto más directo con las escuelas de Lamont o el distrito unificado de Lamont para poder compartir estos folletos y cualquier información. También hacemos presentaciones, vamos a diferentes eventos de escolares como las horas de café con los padres, ahora que estaban a regresar a clases también a hacer distribución de información en ese tiempo. Que están todos esos. Si tienen alguien nos puede mandar ese contacto, se les agradecería mucho. También la otra cosa que hacemos con las escuelas es ayudar a las escuelas a establecer las políticas de no dejar los motores encendidos mientras recogen y llevan a los niños a la escuela. Ser una área libre de emisiones y mejores prácticas de calidad del aire. En todo eso ayudamos. Aquí están, siguiente. Aquí se miran las presentaciones que hacemos, los eventos en donde estamos, y aquí se miran los letreros que estamos distribuyendo para alentar a las personas que no dejen ese motor encendido cuando se pueda, porque todas esas emisiones están respirando los niños y obviamente no queremos eso. Y luego también ahorita, como estamos hablando ahorita, se está imprimiendo y se están instalando estos carteles. Se los van a ver en las siguientes semanas a través de sus comunidades. Aquí se va a ver, estamos promocionando el uso de nuestra aplicación de Valley Air, donde pueden ver el nivel de contaminación cada hora. También pueden ver cualquier alerta que emitamos ahí mismo, y luego otra vez proteger la calidad del aire y no quemar basura. Van a ver estos en estas áreas, en sus comunidades. Aquí se les mandó esta diapositiva. Van a ver los domicilios, pues, donde se van a encontrar estos letreros.
Ana, parece que tenemos dos preguntas.
Sí, Gustavo.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention about maybe a good person to contact the Lamont School District is Jennifer Good. She works with the Family Resource Center, but is under the school district, and she have direct connection to the superintendent, and I'm pretty sure that she will help you, navigate within the school district who is the right person to talk to. I think I only have her email. I'll put it on the chat for you to have it.
Muchas gracias, Gustavo.
And if you want to mention her that, Gustavo gave you her contact, that may help. Unless she's mad with me, but I think that may help anyway. She's a good person. She'll help you.
Muchas gracias, Gustavo. Sí, vamos a contactar a Jennifer. Muchas gracias. Eso nos va a ayudar mucho tener ese contacto directo y empezar a hacer nuestra campaña de alcance. Ahí van a ver los letreros. Otra cosa que queríamos, y hablé un poquito antes, es el evento que queremos tener este otoño, donde ustedes ya pueden participar en este programa de cortacéspedes. Como les expliqué, van y compran su cortacésped nuevo, llevan el que tienen y se le da el reembolso después. O si no, si quieren comprar directamente, también se les dan esos reembolsos. Pero queremos tener este evento en el otoño, en sus comunidades también, donde usted nomás en ese mismo día lleva su cortacésped de gasolina y ahí puede agarrar su cortacésped nuevo. Trabajamos con esta compañía. Ahorita estamos asegurando el inventario para tener suficientes cortacéspedes para ese día. Pero otra pregunta que les quería hacer es si ustedes tienen alguna idea dónde podemos tener este evento. Ocupamos un lugar que tenga amplio estacionamiento. Usualmente es como una, ¿cómo se dice? Hardware store, donde podamos hacer eso. ¿Sí, Mario?
Yeah, I remember the last meeting that we had about this. There were some people asking if for rides or something like that, if they could help them out to take the lawnmower to their houses. Was there anything mentioned about that? I mean, because the last meeting that I was listening, we have people from, I think, Fuller Acres or something like that, that needed maybe a ride to take the lawnmower over there, but that they could get a electrical lawnmower. Did they ever mention something about that?
Heather, do you know something?
I will explore that option, Mario, like a trailer that, the logistically speaking, we would need to pick up their mower and deliver their new one. So we'll brainstorm maybe ways to get them to the event. The good news will be hopefully it'll either be directly in Arvin or Lamont.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, because I heard Comité was supposed to help out them, you know, to help out to take the lawnmower for them and deliver it. I don't know if they'll do it or not, but that's what I heard.
Gotcha. Definitely a great idea. And we can work with community groups ahead of time and see if we can't drum up some volunteers to facilitate those that don't have a way to get down to our event.
Okay. I just want to put that out there.
Thank you, Mario.
Thank you. And I see Diana has a question.
Sí, más que una pregunta era un comentario, porque estaba preguntando ahorita que si sabíamos de una tienda. Ya había dado yo aquí en Lamont, parece ser, no sé si contactaron con la persona, con la ferretería, que pues, es la única que tenemos aquí en Lamont. Como ahorita preguntaba, disculpa, el nombre se me fue, la que está dando la presentación sobre si sabíamos de una tienda. Nomás era el comentario, si ya habían contactado con estas personas. Yo ya les había dado la información.
Gracias,
Bueno, yo tenía un comentario, mija. Aquí en Arvin lo más adecuado es la high school. Es la única que se puede, pero en sábado o en domingo, porque así se tiene todo el parqueadero, porque los dos segundos grandes es la Dollar General y la Vallarta, pero pues siempre van a estar ocupadas por la gente.
Sí, muy buena idea. Gracias.
Tenía una preguntita, mija.
¿Sí?
Los estipendios para los carros, ¿cuándo se van a soltar?
Los, como para reemplazo de carros.
Sí, ya ves que te iban a dar un estipendio, no sé de cuánto, para uno entregaba su carro y daban un estipendio para poder comprar uno eléctrico.
So, el programa de reemplazo de carros todavía ahorita está cerrado. Lo que puede hacer es ponerse en una lista de interés. Ya se inscribió en la lista de interés donde le pueden mandar una notificación cuando se abra.
Me dijeron que hasta que se abriera.
Sí, le podemos ahorita mismo puede ponerse en esa lista pues de interés, que no es aplicar, pero se le va a notificar cuando se abra para que pueda aplicar al programa cuando esté abierto.
Muchas gracias, mija.
Okay. Ahí ahorita nosotros la contactamos para ponerla en esa lista, ¿ok?
Gracias, Tana. Gracias, Joanna, por la pregunta. Thank you so much. So, Sandra, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback off of what Mario was saying. I did share this program, the lawnmower program, with a lot of folks in Fuller Acres, and they were interested. So I'd love to help out in any way possible to get folks from Fuller Acres to the event. So if y'all can just let me know, I'd love to help.
Muchas gracias. Y eso es todo, esa es mi conclusión para esta presentación. Si tiene alguna otra pregunta, la puede hacer, si no le doy la mesa a Amy.
Not seeing any hands raised or any additional questions in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and transition to our next agenda item. I also want to bring to your attention that it is 6:09 right now. And so we are quite a bit behind schedule. So I know we are very interested in learning directly from CalGEM about their most recent updates. So as you listen to this presentation, please do raise your hand and we can take your questions throughout the presentation, but also be mindful about, moving some agenda items. So I will come back and ask you after CalGEM's presentation if you would like to move some of the subsequent agenda items to the next meeting, or otherwise potentially we're going to very likely go over the meeting today. So this is your meeting, so I want to make sure that we're prioritizing the things that you all want to hear about. And we do know that we're a little bit overdue for a presentation from CalGEM. So with that said, I'd love to welcome, I see Courtney Smith and her team is here today to give us some updates regarding their latest work in the Arvin Lamont region. So as I mentioned before, please do make sure you raise your hand or add your questions into the chat and we'll call on you as you ask those questions. Courtney, the floor is yours. Please take it away.
Thanks so much, Amy. Good evening, everyone. Really great to see you. Again, as Amy mentioned, I am not alone. I've got a lot of great folks here joining the call, and I'm actually not going to do a ton of talking. One thing I wanted to mention, though, since Amy mentioned we are short on time this evening, just wanted to remind folks that we are planning to have a oil and gas subcommittee meeting with everyone on August 8th. So if folks want to go deeper on some stuff with us that we present, that's also an option for you to consider. We could do it during the August 8th subcommittee meeting if you didn't want to bump items today. So with that, I think what we're hoping to share with you all today is, as many of you guys are aware, we conducted with our colleagues at the California Air Resources Board a joint inspection back in May in the Arvin Lamont community area. We've been providing updates along the way, but happy to report that all leaks have been fixed. And so we wanted to create some space to have just a closeout update with you all. So we're going to have our colleague Terry from CARB provide that. And then we had a couple other updates for folks, but I'm just going to let Terry give a brief closeout.
Thanks, Courtney. My name is Terry. I'm a manager of the Petroleum Oversight Enforcement Section, the California Air Resources Board. I'll keep this update very, very quick. Just to sort of give a little bit of background, the Methane Task Force originally met with you all back on April 26th to get input about the enforcement plan. Based on the input that you all gave us, we did the inspections from May 22nd to May 24th. Of the 68 wells we inspected, 27 were found leaking. And from that point, the Methane Task Force began conducting re-inspection shortly thereafter to make sure those wells were no longer leaking. We provided a few written updates. One came out on June 5th, another on the 19th, and then another on July 7th. I'm actually going to drop a link in the chat right now where you can get a little bit more detailed information about that. Just bear with me for a second here. All right, so that link is in the chat. Just want to make note that each agency has its own specific authorities to address leaks from oil and gas wells, and those authorities were the basis for all of the enforcement actions that were taken. As of July 5th, all of the 27 leaking wells were repaired. However, a follow-up inspection on the 14th revealed 4 of the wells belonging to Sunway Petroleum and Blackstone Oil and Gas were found to be leaking at about 1,000 ppm. But as of July 20th, all 4 of those wells are repaired. And so with the completion of this inspection report and moving forward, the Methane Task Force will provide any updates that arise on a dedicated website that I just posted in the chat. Also, just want to mention CalGEM recently has released the State Abandonment Draft Expenditure Plan. And that plan does include permanently sealing 59 wells located in Bakersfield, Arvin, and Lamont, and 11 of those are the ones that are operated by Sunray Petroleum and Blackstone Oil and Gas. And just lastly, we have heard your requests to develop communication protocols to notify you all of leaks and to also understand what co-pollutants are leaking in the wells. So just want to let you all know that we are actively working on both efforts.
Awesome. Thanks, Terry. Looks like Mario.
Yeah, I got a question. How long does it take for you guys to follow up on checking out leaks? Do you check it every month or every 2 weeks or every week? How you guys do it?
Rohit, do you want to talk about once our protocol for when we identify a leak, the frequency with which we go out to confirm inspection and then follow up thereafter? I know the district has a pretty rigorous protocol.
So when we find a leak, we ask operator to, first we send a violation to the operator and ask them to fix those leaks immediately. So most of the time, operators are on site the same day or the following day, and they start working on the well. And once we received information from the operator that leaks has been fixed, then we start doing our follow-up inspections. So usually it's a few days especially for the gas leaks. We want operator to fix those as soon as possible.
Thank you.
Great question. Yeah, and as Terry mentioned, you know I did see some of you join our public meeting on our plan, our proposal for using state efforts to permanently seal wells across California. But for those who aren't aware, that is something that we, as Terry mentioned, we are proposing several wells be permanently sealed in the Arvin Lamont area. It's actually something we were hoping to create some space to dive deeper on when we have our subcommittee meeting. So we can actually pull up some maps and show y'all what we're proposing. There is a public comment period for that proposal, and we'd love to get folks' feedback on our proposal. Any other questions on closing out our joint inspection? Cesar.
Hi. First of all, thank you for all of the work and making sure that all of the wells have been dealt with. I know some community members here have dealt with leaks, and they've happened for years and years before they were addressed. So thank you very much. You know, this is the amount of transparency is also very refreshing. The ease at which you made information available and posted it. Again, that's something that, you know, was not the norm before. So this is, you know, a good sign for me. I'm happy that things are moving in this way. And the plan for plugging the wells, I think is something that addresses very problematic issues like Sunray. So I think those are, you know, it's a good next step. So I love when people like, you know, Ryan and Terry and yourself are in good positions to be of best use to the community. So yeah, whether that's here with us, with the Methane Task Force, or I know CalGEM needs a new director. So if you need someone to put in a good word for you, Courtney, I'm sure this group would love to do that. So thank you for the work, and thank you for making sure that this was addressed. The only question I have is, I know the district recently updated, like to be, you know, have some of the lowest levels for reporting when it comes to leaks. And that may not have been the case when the Arvin and Lamont leaks were happening. So but those new levels will be enforced during the Shafter monitoring. Is that correct? I think Ryan knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so that's going to be the next item, Cesar, and we have Luis who worked on those rules, and you know, he can follow up and provide answers to that specifically.
Great. Well, thanks for the feedback, Cesar. And I'll just reflect that, you know, I think it's also been a really great opportunity for us, you know, working with the Air District, their Resources Board, and CalGEM. It's been like really great communication and coordination. So I think there's a lot of good that's come out of it, and really also appreciate having this space to hear from you all on how we can best communicate. I'm glad to hear that we were able to deliver on that. And yeah, we look forward. I mean, obviously that's an important part of the work that we're doing, but there's a lot more that we're doing on addressing leaks on oil and gas. You know, the state abandonment, the state efforts to seal wells is a really important part of that work too. So we look forward to continuing to engage with you all on that. Okay, and thanks, Matt. Matt dropped a link in the chat to that our state abandonment work. So if you're interested in diving deeper, you can check out that link. All of our documents are also written in Spanish, and we'd love to talk about it more on August 8th. The next thing we were hoping to chat about and just give an update on is, I know it was raised a bit at the top of the meeting, and that's the leaks and the oil spill associated with Sequoia. You know, CalGEM has done a lot to go out and be responsive. So I thought it would be nice to just share with everyone a status update on everything that happened and where we stand. And in addition, because there is cleanup that is needed as a result of this, we did invite some colleagues from Kern County Public Health who are helping oversee oversee the cleanup work to also join us to provide updates on that effort. So with that, I'm going to kick it to Rohit to give us an update on our response to share with everyone what happened and how we responded.
Thank you, Courtney. Good evening, everybody. My name is Rohit Sharma, and I'm Chief Deputy of Operations with CalGEM. So I will give you an update on a couple of incidents we had. One was early this year, and the second one recently. First one is the oil spill. It happened on April 27th, earlier this year. The spill was reported from well number Warren 2 in the Warren lease of Sequoia Exploration. The field is Mountain View, and the well is located north of Fuller Acres. The spill affected the landowner's property and vegetation. This oil spill sprayed was a non-reportable volume of less than a barrel, and no waterways were impacted. However, the landowner reported the spill to the OES. The cause of the spill was high wind during the workover operation on the Warren 2 well. The rig was on the well, and the well has been abandoned at that time. A CalGEM engineer inspected the site the same day and also contacted Mr. Saladina. He's a landowner of the impacted land, and also contacted Sequoia the same day. We gathered information on the incident and created an incident report. The well is, as I said, currently being abandoned, and the blowout prevention equipments was inspected, and cleanup tag was witnessed earlier this year in February. So on the same day, April 27, CalGEM issued a notice of violation to the operator for not maintaining their facilities in a good condition and requiring cleanup at the well site. Kern County Public Health is currently overseeing the cleanup on the properties owned by the landowner. And we have a representative here today from the county to provide an update on the cleanup. On the separate incident to this oil spill, the site was also had a recent leaks. So I will update on those leaks now. On July 6th, early this month, APCD called CalGEM and reported that there was a spill reported by Cesar, and this is from the same well, Warren 2. So CalGEM conducted the site inspection on next day, July 7th, and confirmed the leak. The operator was on site at that time and fixed the leak immediately. Operator was asked to bring back the rig to remove and reinstall the BOP for an inspection. Again, CalGEM issued a notice of violation for this leak. We did a follow-up inspection on July 12th and confirmed another gas leak from the same well, but it was from the different component of the well. The operator fixed the well immediately. Also, I would like to add that the operator is in progress of permanently sealing this leak, and CalGEM conducted a reinspection and well was fixed immediately. We are working with the operator to permanently seal the well. CalGEM continue to work with the operator and ensure that this operation is carried out in a safely and expeditious manner. I will now update on the action taken by CalGEM on these incidents. So CalGEM followed up on the incident report notification from the OES, which was reported by the landowner. We also issued the notice of violation and will continue to support the public health department as it oversees the cleanup of this site and resolve the incident under the supervision of Kern County Public Health Service Department. CalGEM carried out site inspections to ensure the operator was following the CalGEM's laws and regulations and issued violations for these two incidents and required operator to clean up the site immediately. There is an update from today that CalGEM witnessed the hydrocarbon zone of this well, and which will prevent any future leaks from this well. And now I will hand over to Chad from Kern County Public Health.
Hi there, this is Chad with Kern County Public Health under the Certified Unified Program Agency. Our agency oversees, various inspection programs concerning hazardous materials, and one of the programs we oversee is hazardous waste. So that is why that's within our purview for cleanup is concerning the release that happened on this property for on Larry Saldana's property. So kind of just going over a little bit of the timeline for this. The spill did occur in February. March is when the landowner observed this spill that was caused from one of the Sequoia's wells. We were then notified, I guess there was coordination between Sequoia and the landowner doing from March to April. We were then notified from Larry. I actually got Larry, I was in contact with Larry directly in April. I think it was about end of April when we were in contact with him. So I assigned one of my inspectors, Mel Maheenan, to go ahead and investigate this release. From this investigation that Mel performed along with CalGEM, a joint inspection with CalGEM and the landowner, and we did issue out a couple violations concerning what occurred, and one was failure to notify release reporting, failure for notification, and the failure to clean up hazardous waste. So those are the two violations that are well, the main violation right now is the failure to clean up. So that is still in the works. There has been the initial compliance date was for June 14. It was then extended to July 14. And then we did provide an additional extension. The first, the first initial compliance date for June 14 was extended due to there was some concerns from Larry Saldana based on the some of the concerns that he saw that Sequoia had in their work plan. So we did provide an extension to kind of have that being coordinated. And within the extension, we did require, some additional coordination with the landowner. From the July 14 to the new extension, this is we provided that to for the cleanup, just for additional figuring out what's for the cleanup, what is needed for the cleanup, and we're actually looking to other options on trying to figure out how to get this cleanup started with Sequoia and Larry. So that's kind of where we're at right now for on our side of the remediation. And that's pretty much it for our part.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, Chad. Really appreciate it. And one thing I just wanted, I see Sandra's hand up. One thing though, before we go to Sandra, that I just wanted to underscore, obviously, as Chad mentioned, there's some work to be done to actually close out the cleanup. But the good news is, I know Rohit gave a lot of information, but I don't know if you caught it at the end. His team actually was able to witness today a plug being put into the hydrocarbon zone of the Warren 2 well, which means that is sealed. So I just wanted to flag for folks that that the well that did leak and leaked again, is in a much better position. There's a little bit more work to do to, I think, officially or like complete the sealing. But a really critical stage has been met, and we'll continue to work with the operator to get that well permanently sealed, which is a good thing. Sandra?
Yeah, I had two questions. The first one, how long should it take operators to clean up the leaks when they happen? Like, what should be like their time frame to clean them up? And then the second question, working with the community of Fuller Acres, I've seen folks show me pictures of their water with actual like oil bubbles inside. I know it was mentioned that there was, with this leak, there was no actual like oil going into the water supply. What should folks do if they think that there's oil in their water? Who should they contact, and what is the best thing to do in that situation?
Do you want to speak to the first one, Chad, in terms of, I'm sure there's a lot of factors that inform timing for cleanup. I'm sure you have lots of experience with that.
Yeah, so really concerning cleanups, we, us as the regulators, we do have to be reasonable based on and practical, depending on, what the, what the extent is. There's also additional factors on, right of access and, ensuring that there is proper access able to from, one company to another person's property. There's things like that also come into play. And I guess that it really depends on, I know we do have set timeframes that we've requested, but again, it depends on, there's a lot of different factors that can, change the these timeframes. So for the most part, I know with the initial, investigation, we did provide them. Normally, it is like 30 days for them to abate. But if there's any additional findings, it can then prolong the remedial process, the remediation process.
Great. And then I know you also asked a question about if you identify oil and waterways. I mean, certainly if you have any complaints around oil and gas operators, we have a process to receive those complaints, and we address all of them. So maybe while we go to the next question, or maybe one of my colleagues can find the website that provides that process. I think that's probably the best way to handle, Sandra, if you have any concerns around oil and gas operators that are like, non-emergency, we have a process to intake and review those requests. And when I get a sec, I'll drop that link in the chat that outlines that process. Cesar?
Yeah, thank you for all of that information, and I'm happy to hear that the well won't be a threat to leaks anymore. So thank you everyone that took part. And I know as far as timelines go, they had 5 days to fix the gas leak because of how high the level of it was. And they got a notice of violation for failing to fix that leak within time. So like a lot of this has different timeframes. And I know part of the cleanup hasn't been done just because like a lot of property was damaged and the lines blur between like environmental jurisdiction of agencies and like civil issues. So thank you for staying on top of this. And I know he's been dealing with this since February, and it really seems like this operator was problematic with the repeated NOVs. So I'm happy to hear that there's a plug. And yeah, I made this report, and within 12 hours, there was like 2 agencies out there that had 2 NOVs. So thank you for this response, and really appreciate, the county for staying on top of this and making sure that they can negotiate something that's workable for Larry, and to CalGEM and the Air District for responding so quickly.
Awesome. Thanks for that feedback, Cesar. Mario?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate everything that you guys did. This information what you gave, 100%. I love it. Hopefully we have meetings like this, because you guys are doing a really great job to give good information for us, especially you guys taking action to fix up the problem. And that's what I like. I like to see the problem to get fixed, and you guys doing a great job. That's all I want to say.
It's really kind. Thank you so much, Mario. Okay, not seeing any other hands up. Trying to think if there's anything else. I think, yeah, I just wanted to plug the subcommittee meeting. We're hoping to deep dive on what we're proposing to seal in your guys' community and more broadly. And of course, if there's anything else folks want to cover, happy to do that. So with that, without any questions, maybe we ended a little early.
This is great. So we have, we still have a lot of other agenda items to go over, but thank you, CalGEM. Really appreciate you all coming today with a lot of action and being ready to engage in the subcommittee meeting. Want to also remind folks that in your inbox, you should have access to the glossary of terms that CalGEM put together and other documents that were sent out via email today and in advance of today's meeting. Our next agenda item that we have is a CERP measure update, and it's really an opportunity to go more in depth regarding enforcement and compliance. So we're wondering if this is an opportunity for us to propose moving this topic to the next agenda, to the next subcommittee meeting, if that makes sense for the CSC, so that we can actually move to standing updates. And Mario, I see your hand raised, but if I could get this question answered first, then I'll come back to that. So we have the CERP updates as an agenda item that would have taken 30 minutes, but we don't have 30 minutes today. So wondering if we could include that in the subcommittee meeting or potentially bring it back to the next agenda. Any opposition to that movement? Not seeing any, giving folks a moment to process that. Okay, Mario, do you have a question?
Yeah, I got questions because Fuller Acre, I heard that they were gonna help them out to fix up some roads over there or something like that. I wonder if that was possible to fix up some things over there in Fuller Acres, what they was asking for.
Can you clarify your question for folks who know what?
Okay, a couple meetings back, we was talking about Fuller Acres to help them out. So to help them out, because there's a spot where it was getting flooded and so-called they were supposed to fix up that. And not only that, they were talking about putting sidewalks over there or something like that. And the only thing I want to say, Fuller Acres is listening. I want you guys to speak out like that if you understand what you guys are asking, what you guys want in your community. Because I talked to somebody, I don't remember the name, so-called they were supposed to help out Fuller Acres to do some things over there. I don't know.
So, Mario, are you asking Fuller Acre residents who are here today to speak up about the concerns, or are you asking for an update on any?
Yeah, well, update, and for them to speak out to like that, for you guys to understand what they are asking.
Gotcha. Wonderful. So let me just give folks a moment to process that. We are going to transition to updates momentarily. So maybe if the Air District could kind of think about what are some of the updates that you have around that, and if residents have any updates about that on your end or request, we can definitely address that momentarily. Joanna?
Mija, la pregunta nada más es personal. Es que no me podía meter por problemas con la computadora y la internet. No sé si me vaya a afectar para mi tiempo. Le dije a mi hermana que avisara, pero cuando avisó yo ya me había metido.
Yeah, no, I was aware of that because you told us earlier when you joined, so don't worry about it. We have recorded your attendance for today.
Oh, okay. Gracias, mija.
Gracias a usted. So we are going to transition to general updates. We have a lot of updates. So Mario, we will address yours momentarily. I'm going to pass it to Liz to walk us through the several updates that we have so that we can start to wrap up our meeting soon.
Thank you, Amy. So for our standing updates tonight, we will hear from a DPR from the pesticide subcommittee, as well as the city of Arvin. And so, as you know, we carve out time at each of our monthly meetings to listen and learn directly from these agencies and our community partners that are working on these initiatives that impact you all. And so as you listen to these updates, please do think of any questions that you might have or any comments, and we welcome you to put those into the chat. If we don't have time to address all of your comments tonight, we will be sure to address those in a future meeting. And so I think we are going to start with the DPR and pesticide subcommittee update. Do we have, I think, our DPR rep to provide us with that update? I don't. I'm not sure if I see.
I saw them earlier. Let me see. I had seen.
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
My mouse was not working. Just trying to get it done. No, we just had our subcommittee meeting yesterday. So basically, we had all the updates that we could possibly provide to the community yesterday through those presentations. I'm just here to see if there's any other comments from the community, so I can take notes of that.
Hey, Maziar, because some of the CSC members weren't here, is there a way you can maybe give like a 5-minute, just real brief, kind of covering what was shared yesterday?
Can you repeat, Ryan? Your voice was breaking.
Oh, sorry, Maziar. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, since all the CSC members weren't there yesterday, would it be possible just to do a real quick kind of recap of the 2 topics that were discussed yesterday and shared out?
Yes, I can, but in my understanding, this, at least in the previous meetings, the community members would provide those updates, but I can provide those updates if you want to. So I don't want to step on any toes, and that's why, if anyone else wanted to share those updates, you're more than welcome. Otherwise, yes, I can provide those updates.
Okay.
Shall I?
Yeah, maybe just cover the sustainable management practices and the notification demo.
Yes. So if I need to provide those updates, there are two topics that we talked about. One of them was the sustainable pest management, a high level overall summary of what it does, what it asks for, and what are the steps that DPR will be taking to implement the sustainable pest management, which the branch chief for IPM provided that presentation. And then after that one, there was also another demo that didn't work. There was some glitch on the website, but there were a lot of screenshot and PowerPoint in terms of how the system will work, in terms of the notification and what information that system will provide. And that was presented by our assistant director for the IT program and also the assistant director for the enforcement program. Those were the two topics that was discussed during the subcommittee, the pesticide subcommittee, and there were a lot of back and forth questions that I believe the DPO was able to answer those questions yesterday. So anything else that I could help you with here?
Yeah, the sustainable pest management, that's really important because that's kind of fundamental. It kind of led into the discussion about the notification process as well. And hopefully with the changes and the research that's being put into the sustainable pest management practices, there'll be less and less need for notification because the goal is to transition away from restricted materials. And so it was a great presentation from DPR, talking about the process that they're going through, all the research studies that they're doing, looking to find alternatives to the kind of existing suite of pesticides, and and then really appreciated the demonstration of the notification program. And I know the DPR has been sharing it out with many of the people that participate in the working group, and I know we have quite a few people on here who spent their time participating in the work groups that helped develop the notification system, and attended workshops and other things. And so it's another good example of community input into good final products, or in development products. I shouldn't say final products since it's still being worked on.
Yeah, that's the goal, and it is a work in progress, as you mentioned.
Thank you for the recap. And yeah, I think it's helpful, especially when we know not everybody in the CSC can attend those subcommittee meetings. So we do want to make sure that everybody is able to access that information. And I think, I'm not sure if it's been posted on the website yet, but everyone will be able to view the recording of that subcommittee meeting in case you missed it for more detailed updates.
Yes, it is. It is already posted, and the presentation and everything is up there on the website.
Great, thank you. And I see Mario, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, the only thing I want to say, Ryan, well spoken. Your comment, you did a really good job. I like that. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback. Yeah. Any other questions or comments on the DPR update? I'm not seeing any, so I think we can hear from the city of Arvin and their update.
Hi, everybody on the CSC committee. First of all, I want to say I miss you all, and I sincerely apologize for not being as available. We've been extremely busy. We're applying for a transformative climate communities grant that will benefit the residents of Arvin. It will also include pedestrian and bike paths around the Walnut area. So I literally have not had a day off in 23 days straight. So we're preparing to submit that application next Tuesday, and hopefully then after that I'll have a little break. So again, I apologize. With respect to the pedestrian walkways that the committee has identified, I should be able to provide an estimate within 30 days. QK has been assigned that project to determine the cost, because I felt like we needed a thorough engineering estimate so that the numbers that we'll be bringing forward to the CSC will be accurate. And in addition to that, I would imagine that we could possibly, if we have those numbers within the next 30 days, we would possibly be putting it to a vote in the month of September based on that timeline. So I wanted to give you an update on that. And the other thing I would like to mention is thank you to all who participated in the Clean Energy Fair. Arvin actually had a very successful Clean Energy Fair. We had 28 different organizations present, and that took place on June 24th. We had CARB there, we had the Valley Air District there, we had PG&E, and many other resources for our community. So, and we had more than 8 electric vehicles available for ride and drives during that event. It was a very successful event, but it also took a ton of planning. We're thinking that when the AB 617 vouchers are going to be available, that we could possibly coordinate another ride and drive for the communities of Arvin and Lamont, and to have these vehicles available to test drive, because I think it'll be important to coordinate that timing with the voucher program. So super excited. Those are sort of the things that we'll be working on in the next couple months as soon as I get this TCC grant out. And then also we had a California Walks event on June 13th with UC Berkeley, Safe Track, and Caltrans. And we walked around the neighborhoods with community members, identifying areas for improvement. And in addition, there was Caltrans showed up, and the community were trying to rally more community support for a crosswalk and a signal light at the intersection of Walnut and 223. So that's working forward in a progressive manner, and we're anticipating a response back from Caltrans shortly. So having said that, even though you haven't seen me around, I've been super busy, and moving forward, I will try to, participate a little bit more. Just got to get this grant out of the way, and I appreciate your patience in that regard. And that's all I have at this time. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, it looks like there's no questions. Thank you, and good to see you all.
Thank you, Christine. I hope you get a day off soon. I know there's a lot of work on a team of one, I think you've called it, for the city of Arvin, and folks really appreciate it. So I think we have a quick update from the Air District regarding the air monitoring status. So we can go to Ryan before going back to Mario's question.
Yeah, I'll cover both this and then the annual report. So we, I know we've talked about it in the past, but the Arvin Community Services Center, we're looking to place the air monitoring trailer there. And so right now we are just working on putting in the electrical infrastructure. And so we hope to have that up here in the near future. The annual report, this will be the first annual report for the community. And I know it's been brought up by Bianca in the past, kind of asking what's the timeline on it. So as an update, typically what we do is we share a draft of this. And so this is basically covers from the time where the SERP was adopted by CARB through, roughly when the draft of the report is done, and basically covers the work that's been done and the progress that's been done. And based on the 31 meetings that we've had, that there's been a lot that's been going on, and there's going to be a lot to cover. And so what we do is we work on a rough draft, and then we share with the community, and then we want to take back the feedback and the changes that we receive on that report, and then ultimately that report goes to CARB. So it's a requirement of the state law that we produce these reports, and so we like this to be a very interactive, engaged process for looking at the report and providing feedback on it. So that should be coming in the next couple months.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any questions or comments about that update, the annual report? I'm not seeing any. So I think, Ryan, was that it for your updates? Okay. So I think I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so we can move back to the comment or the question about Fuller Acres residents. Mario, would you mind restating your question and comment for the CSC?
Yeah, well, I talked to some members from Fuller Acres. They was telling me something about where it was getting flooded, and so called they're supposed to fix up that spot, like that they could put sidewalks or something there. And there were some other things, but right now my mind just, I'm thinking about something else, and it just messed up my mind. But if Fuller Acres right now, they could start speaking and asking what they need, like that, we know what's going on.
Yeah, thank you for inviting the residents of Fuller Acres to share a bit about what's going on. And
Yeah,
I see a couple hands up.
They need help. They need help.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I think Sandra, go ahead.
To elaborate to what Mario was saying, I think the question is like, is some of the SERP funding going to addressing the infrastructure needs in Fuller Acres? I think that's kind of the question that Mario and a lot of the residents have, like how much of the funding and what projects are going to Fuller Acres to address the funding needs. I know the county budget hearing just happened, and the asks were for streetlights, sidewalks, and to address the constant flooding that happens on Weed Patch Highway in front of Fuller Acres from Caltrans, and then also Juanita and Hoffman, which is a corner that gets extremely flooded to the point where kids can't go to school anymore because the puddle is so wide that they literally cannot cross, so they just skip school when it rains. And Fuller Acres is included in the boundary for AB 617. So I think for folks that are here from Fuller Acres, I think they would just like to know how this funding is going to be able to help them and which projects are going to be able to help them address the constant flooding and their infrastructure needs.
Thank you, Sandra. You got me. Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't think Yolanda or anybody from the county is here. But we did, I don't know, kind of going back, if everybody remembers, a few months ago, the county came and they shared out the projects, and there were projects in the Fuller Acre area, and the CSC members kind of voted on and prioritized the projects in the county, for funding. I'm not sure if those are in the same areas that we're talking about right now. But if I'll drop it in the chat, and if you can kind of look at it and review it, and we can maybe discuss it more next time.
Thank you, Ryan. And I see you did drop that link into the chat. So Joanna, I see your hand is up. Go ahead.
Hija, tenía una pregunta acerca de eso. ¿Por qué no hacen como una regla para los rancheros? Porque lo que he estado viendo bien mucho, todas las carreteras se están echando a perder porque los rancheros hacen unos bordotes y todas se encharcan. Y debería de, no sé si puedan poner como una regla de que no pueden hacer eso porque están echando a perder las carreteras y ellos no las van a pagar. No sé si se puede hacer algo. O a quién preguntarle. No sé si me oyes. ¿Sí me oyes?
Yeah, maybe just for a little clarification, Joanna, are you talking about the use of the roads, or am I understanding that correctly, that the concern is with the with the heavy equipment that it's damaged the roads, or?
Las carreteras en general, aquí a todo alrededor de Arvin, en Lamont, a veces no se pueden ni pasar cuando llueve, porque los rancheros hacen unos bordotes tan grandes que hace que se encharquen todas las carreteras y todas se echan a perder. Todas están echadas a perder por los grandes lagunas que se hacen gracias a los granjeros que están protegiendo sus propiedades, pero nos están echando a perder las carreteras a todo el mundo, a todos los residentes de Arvin, Lamont. No sé si ustedes
Yeah, that's something we can raise with the county. It would be county public works, most likely. So we can chat with them about that.
Muchas gracias.
So Ryan, just to clarify for Juana and the rest, Joanna and the rest of the community, this sounds like this would be a county sort of jurisdiction and it would fall under them. So you all will communicate that and we'll put that as an action item.
Thank you. I see we have a couple more hands up. So Tim, go ahead.
Hi, I had a question regarding, and it's more for the Department of Pesticides and Regulation. Since the issues regarding the Ag Commissioner in Kern County have been brought up several times, I would like the department to give us a presentation on the Food and Agricultural Code Act Division 2, Chapter 2, Article 4, Section 2181 through 2187 regarding removal of an Ag Commissioner through the Department of Agriculture, Pesticides and Regulation, instead of going to the county to remove him.
Sorry, my mouse is not working again. Can you please put that code into the chat, and I will take a note and I will bring it up to my management.
Okay, I will put it in the chat. And regarding the other issue that Sandra brought regarding the syncing of Google, I put a comment in there in the chat stating that it depends on which client you use to send out the invitations to the meeting. If it's done through the Zoom portal, it will not let you give a choice of adding on the calendar. But if it's done through an Outlook or any other service, it does give you an option of sending a calendar invite to the person.
Thank you for noting that, Tim. And yeah, I think if you could put that in the chat and then DPR can note it. And so we have another hand up. Leanda, I'm not sure if you're a CSC member. We might not have you on our roster.
Hi, I'm actually with Central California Asthma Collaborative. Stepping in for Janet at the moment while she's out on maternity leave. but I just wanted to mention the link that was dropped by Ryan. Thank you for providing that, Ryan. However, it's not wanting to download. I'm not sure if I'm the only one that has that issue. Nothing shows up when it's open. And then I also wanted to just address the comment they made as far as the sidewalks and like having that huge puddle. So it's that, Ryan, what you mentioned, is that in regards to the regional transportation plan? If so, I attended the roundtable meeting today at Kern Cog, and I did ask what the plans were for Arvin and Lamont area. They did mention they had a few sidewalks and bike paths that were in the plan for the area, and they also mentioned that they would be happy to give a presentation here at the AB 617 meeting if we ask for one, because they're still very much looking for community input. That's all for me. Thank you.
This is for Fuller Acres, the problem that they have over there in Fuller Acres.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. And I think the link is working for some of us. And it might be an issue on your end, but if you're still not able to download that, do reach out to a member of our district and they can email it as an attachment. Sandra, go ahead.
Sorry, just had another question. One, I think it would be great if the Kern Cog like roundtable for the regional transportation plan did give a presentation here. I think that would be amazing. So I would totally back that. And second, some residents have questions over how you can sign up for the wait list for the electric vehicles. If y'all can please explain like what the best form for them to sign up would be, just to make sure that they're on that waiting list.
Yeah, thank you. I think you would contact them for that. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. Are there any other final comments before we start wrapping up our meeting?
Mija, soy yo, Ana. Nada más mi hermana dijo que les avisara que se le apagó la computadora. I'm sorry. 12 minutos antes de que terminara la meeting, pero está oyendo por mi celular.
Ya, dile que estamos oyendo por el celular.
Ok. Disculpa.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. And we'll take one final comment from Jesus before we wrap up.
Thank you. Something that just came to mind as we're talking about the electric vehicle program. Will there be an opportunity to revisit the requirements for being part of that program, or the qualifications? I know it's very similar to a program that already exists. I wanted to see if there was an opportunity to increase the number of people who can receive the incentives by since they're the exact same requirements. We can, or my thought was, we can stack both incentives. So, you know, if they qualify for the existing program, then money that we have set aside with the AB 617 would stack on top of that one. Just wanted to look to see if that was an opportunity. And then also, that's everything.
That's something that we can look into, Jesus. As part of the CERT for the community, there is an increased amount over what is available through the normal program, significantly increased amount. And so that currently is with the California Air Resources Board. We're waiting for their approval for that project plan. So that's one of the reasons why we have a kind of a wait list for that program. You know, we're hopeful that you know, it should be or we're hopeful that it'll get approved soon. And then from there, then we have to take it to our board. So there's still a little bit of process that has to go through before we can open the program up officially. But yeah, we'll talk more about that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for the question and everyone for all of your questions and for what you've shared tonight. I see we are 10 minutes over time. So I just want to check in with the CSC and see if there's any opposition to sending the action items via email for tonight, or if you would prefer for us to still go ahead and read those aloud. So is there any opposition? Anyone who is opposed to us sending action items via email? Okay, I think I'm seeing folks are okay getting that via email. So we can go ahead and wrap up our meeting. I know it was a packed agenda. We had a lot to get through and we heard a lot of really great updates. And I also just want to appreciate all of the folks who shared how they felt after the meeting last night and how you have been impacted by the comments of a member of our CSC. And we hope you all continue to provide us with that feedback. And again, just really appreciative of everybody for being here tonight. And we will see you at the next CSC meeting, which will be on August 23rd. And just want to wish you all a really good night.
Thank
Good night,
you.
everyone. Buenas
Good
noches.
night.
Todos.
Thank you.
Buenas noches,
Thank you.
everyone.